it's basketball. Like, I understand that we're getting paid, and I understand that there's an expectation, but coming into the gym and being able to play, just play and compete, I just think it's a blessing.
Mystics Media Day 2025. Head coach Sydney Johnson is with us. How things been going since you got the job, sir?
It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Like draft preparation was really, really intense and focused, and loved it, but a lot of work, and I thought it went really, really well for us. So excited about that. Obviously, getting ready for training camp. Hiring a new staff, which obviously, we rounded that out and feel really good about where we are with that. And then making sure our players get in, one piece and healthy and ready to roll.
What is the thing that you've had to do so far that you were most unprepared for coming into it? Where you're like, whoa, okay, let me get up to speed on this and then hit the ground running.
This stuff right here.
Really?
I mean, not from the standpoint of not uncomfortable with it or anything like that, but just, people are paying attention. People want to be a part of it. They want to know what's going on with the team and the preparation and style of play. And sometimes it's new questions. Sometimes it's the same question. But just the general interest. I knew that the W has come up, but I think like the attention paid to our players, and then to some maybe lesser degree myself and our staff, I'm really feeling that right now.
You mentioned the play style people want to know, so let's get into it. When you think about your core philosophy as a basketball coach and how you're the speech that you at this point I would have guessed you already gave yesterday of here's kind of our expectation for the season, here's who we want to be.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there's who we want to be, there's our daily habits, and I kind of look at it, in those two buckets, if you will, and so who we want to be, we want to play fast. We've identified that. We want to share the basketball. We do want to put an emphasis on the modern game in terms of making threes and getting to the rim, having some diversity there. Defensively, disruptive. Trying to take certain things away from people. Obviously, they're high usage players. Easy buckets, things of that nature. And then there are habits of just kind of playing hard and doing all that. Getting better, day in and day out, not taking that for granted. Communicating directly with each other, both coach to player, but players to players. You know what I mean? And then there's a bit of humility there that you have to have in order to come together as a group. Slim and Steph, they embody that as well as anybody on our team. And frankly, that habit there is inspired by them. So having those habits and then that style of play and trying to merge that day in and day out over 44 games, which is a challenge. It's a real challenge, but that's what that's what we're asking of ourselves.
As a coach, how do you balance being consistent with your messaging with enough spice, variety to not become kind of just the other end of the phone in Charlie Brown when the teacher's on it and that that kind of feeling towards players?
Yeah, no, that's a great call out. And I would say part of that is that I can't be the only one, embodying these principles. Not only is it our coaching staff, but like I said, I already put names on it, Steph and Slim. And the color that they bring, they lead in different ways, but they're leading us towards the same path. So therein is your change up. Your mix-up, where it might sound differently from Steph, it might sound differently from me, it might sound differently from Slim, but we're pretty much echoing the same principles. That's the hope and pray. And but that's where, you don't feel like you'll run up as much in terms of them tuning you out because it's coming from, a few different credible voices.
Sydney Johnson, head coach of the Mystics, with us here on the Team 980. Obviously, player development is going to be an enormous part of the next, not just year, but multiple years. When you got 3 first-round picks, you guys are going to have multiple first-rounders next year, not to mention young players that are your vets now.
Yeah.
Aaliyah is going to sit down, and I'm like, what's it feel to be on the upper end of the roster in terms of experience with your 1 year of NBA or WNBA basketball?
Right.
How do you think about player development, and specifically, have you had any conversations with the other side of the building? Because it's obviously such a big thing with Brian Keefe and what they're doing with the Wizards. How do you think about it, and have you picked up anything from them along the way?
Yeah, we're going to tap in. Honestly, I tried to avoid, we've had some touch points, but only now are they really out of season, right? So when I first got the job, I didn't want to just plunge in there and, hey, coach, help me out here. But BK and his staff, I know Dave Vanderpool very well, TJ Sorrentine, the rest of the staff has been very, very supportive. Also, I would say, connection point there, John Thompson III, Michael Winger, like they've been very supportive in terms of their roles with Monumental basketball. So we know we can go there. At the same time, I hired in a way where, I wanted to get an experienced staff who valued player development, who has connections with players, has been able to form connections with all different types of players, just not one way, and then an understanding of what success looks like in this league. So it will be comprehensive. We will listen to those who've gone through it, and certainly on the NBA side, we will also put our W stamp on it in terms of our players and their needs. But it will be a priority every day that I have this job, to be honest. And I would say to you, even though, yes, we are young, there's a point where we'll be a little bit more experienced in a year, and a year after that. Player development is still going to stay at the center of what we're trying to do. It'll just change in terms of what those elements are. But we're going to be player first and pouring into them every day we show up for the gig.
When you think about more specifically to the 2025 season, your rotations, your lineups, do you have any idea at this point as we stand here at the start of training or sit here at the start of training camp what that's going to look like? Or is there a discovery phase over the next couple of weeks? And not that you're married to them, what you do, game 1 is not necessarily what you can do in game 40. I'd probably guess it's not going to be what you do in game 40 for any number of reasons. But do you have an idea going in of what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I have a strong idea. 44 games of health, and Slim Sykes is playing. Okay, 44 games of health, and Shakira Austin is playing. 44 games of health, and Steph Dolson is playing. Those I can put my name on. And just because of the two leaders in particular. And their skill set, they're not just cheerleaders, at all. Like, they can hoop, in terms of Slim and Steph. And Shakira has a lot to bring to the table. We want to certainly get her comfortable and feeling right. And also just, again, her health. But those are 3 players that I can say, okay, like, I know I want to give them opportunities because they're at the core of what we do, and they're trying to go about things the right way. And then our youth kind of kicks in, and our inexperience to say, okay, now where does Aaliyah fit? Where does, Sonia Citron fit? Where does Jade fit? We got to figure that out as we go.
For Slim in particular, she's played off the ball in her career. She's played on the ball, specifically last year when she was healthy. She played on the ball a lot here. Do you know where you want her this year?
I like her off the ball with the ability to play on the ball. That's literally what it is. So, play point, bring it up, get us into stuff. But I do like her as someone that we're also targeting to get the ball to in scoring positions. So that's kind of where I start. But her ability to get her organized, she's shown a bit of that as well.
You have a tremendous amount of youth then at the point guard position. How does that, I want to call it a battle, but how does the position battle, if you will, play out between Jade and Georgia? You got your 2 Aussies going head-to-head. You got to be careful with those 2.
Yeah, no doubt. And they've
don't tell them they're fighting each other. That could end poorly.
It's funny because
they're great friends.
They're so warm, like, just with everybody, and then they have a great relationship. And I do want to put Suge Sutton in there as well. Sure. As someone who's in the rotation in that regard. So what the best thing that I can do is step back and let it play out, but also have them be very clear in terms of what I want it to look like. Whether it's the pace, whether it's the connection with other players, how it needs to look defensively, and just kind of let them come up to that level and say, okay, well, who's best, in the starting role, in the reserve role, they'll kind of figure that out, but set the standard and the expectations for them. That's what I'm looking to do. And so far, all 3 of them, have had some bright moments just yesterday.
Last thing for you. Joy, I know, is a tenet of Monumental basketball. These seasons are long. They're hard. How do you keep the joy in this group?
I mean, it's easy, man. It's basketball. I understand that we're getting paid, and I understand that there's an expectation. I understand that fans are, they wear it, on their sleeve. I get all of it. But coming into the gym and being able to play, just play and compete. I just think it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing, and that is true even if you lost, the night before. I know it's a little bit harder, but like summing it up, like there's a new game that's going to be played. Like let's put some time on the clock and let's get some bump. And I'm never going to lose that. I feel like I can lean on Slim and Steph to hold to that. We got to help each other out. I get it. Sometimes there's some lulls. But if you start with understanding that this is a blessing just off the top and try to connect to that on the daily, I think that your joy will ring through.
Sidney Johnson, head coach of the Mystics, with us here on the Team 980. Of course, listen to the Mystics all season long here on the station. Coach, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.